Morning everybody, Jeff from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. This morning I thought we'd do a little bit of maintenance. This is a welder that we use to take and weld the sliders on the JK. And we've had this welder for about 35 years and it's still fully operational. It's a Sears Craftsman. We didn't actually buy this. We actually traded a transmission for it. So yeah, it's been very good, and it needs a little bit of love. The first thing we had to do is there is a handle right here that this piece here was broken. It was made of plastic, and we actually made this in our machine shop. So as you can see here, this is the end of a bar that we had just laying around the shop. And this is our horizontal bandsaw that we use for chopping up material. And we cut this bar to about 8 inches long. That actually gave us enough length to take and make this piece. You can see the bar goes from here to here. On and off, we spent about 10 hours on our milling machine making this part. What we had to do, we didn't want it too heavy, so we went ahead and drilled some lightning holes in here, and we take and milled out the bottom so it would take and fit over the control that is right here. And then this is a locking handle where you take and lift the handle up, and then you go ahead and move this, and this is the current range that's right here, and you kind of lock this into position. So we're kind of lucky here at Rust Bucket Valley Garage in that we have this J-head Bridgeport milling machine that we bought from a machinery retailer that sells used machine. We paid about $1,000 for it. It needed some work inside the head right here, and we also took and replaced the motor on it because it had a 3-phase 240 volt motor on it. So we went ahead and changed that out. Also, there were some gears that were inside the head here, and the bearings for the spindle there and there were bad. So whenever you tried to cut something, it was real wavy. So we went ahead and tore that down and changed that. And then recently, during the pandemic, since we didn't really have much work, so we took the table off here and we put a new lead screw for the cross feed and new bushings in there. So we got that all taken care of. We also have a lathe back here. We can take and turn up things. And continuing on the maintenance on the welder, of course, whenever we take and do any project, we hit the thing with the air hose and cleaned all this out inside, and it kind of needed it. So we're checking all the connections in here and making sure everything's tight. One problem that we did notice was this lead right here goes for the ground, and there's a strain relief that comes out of here on the front for the ground cable. So this is the ground cable that we took off there, and this is the location of the strain relief, and you can see that some of the strands of the cable, this is 4-gauge welding cable, are broken. Okay, so this is going to make high resistance and return lead for the ground. So since we've had this welder for so long, most if not all of the parts except nuts and bolts are obsolete now. Like that handle, the handle, we tried a couple of different things to try and get that resolved. So we were trying to take and find another one, and it did not exist. We did not have all of the pieces for this. We just had this part right here, but this indicator here was completely gone. So we were thinking, if we had all the parts, maybe we could take and put this together, put it back together with super glue, and then send it to some foundry, and we could get one cast out of aluminum. But since we didn't have all the pieces and everything, that was not going to be happening. So we had to take and machine one. So we generated a little drawing on our CAD system here, and then we just did conventional machining and machined all this out. So back on the workbench here, what we did is we wanted to just go ahead and replace this entire table, including the ends. So we went on our favorite store, Amazon, not a sponsor, and we got 4-gauge welding cable. We got a piece 25 feet long, so it doesn't need to be that long. It needs to be about 12 feet. Okay, so we're going to be swaging new terminals. We got a couple of 4-gauge terminals that we're going to be swaging on there, and I'll show you that process in a moment. One other thing that we did repair was this this grounding clip is on here. This end right here, where the cable goes through as a strain relief, was really bent up. So we did a little hammer and dolly work, a little body work on our clip here. So we got it pretty much where we want it. This is not round, doesn't really have to be, but just for appearances, we want to take and put that over a round mandrel and give it a couple of taps and tighten it up. So let me show you how we're going to put new ends on this cable. So when you go to take and swage the cable into the connectors, you want to make sure that you have it enough engagement. So what you do is you go ahead and measure just until you get to transition into the connector. Okay, so this is kind of a flared edge here, so it's easy to take and put in there. So generally what I do is I find a hard surface and I just take a regular razor blade and I'll go ahead and I'll roll the conductor on there and just go ahead and get just enough of the conductor stripped back so that when you go ahead and put it in here, you have to make sure you get all the strands in there. You're just right there where the insulator body is up against where the cover portion is, and then you get ready for the crimp. Okay, so we have a couple of ways that we can take and make the crimp on there. Okay, we have a tool that comes in and crimps all the sides at one time, and this is a hydraulic tool that we have. And you notice if we just take a set of dies and we put them together, okay, we'll get a 360-degree crimp. Okay, on this one right here, I'm going to try something a little bit different. Okay, there's another little crimper that we got off Amazon, our favorite store. It self-centers the connector in there, and then this puts like a dimple in the connector. So I think that's what we want to go to today. So we'll go ahead and we'll get it set up, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so we have the tool. It has a little handle in the back here that you can take and raise the anvil up. So you go ahead and put your connector on here. Make sure you have all your strands in there. You want to take this and line it. It has a V groove that you can take and do that. Okay, and I think I want to swage this one on the back. Okay, because what that will do is there's a little bit of interference in the bottom of the V, how the connector fits in here. So if I swage this one on the back, it will come out perfect. Okay, so with one hand, you go ahead and hold this in position, and then you're just going to use this. Okay, give it a couple of whacks. Okay, and that's your connector right there. Okay, so it's made. Ain't going anyplace. Puts a nice little X in there. So it's a very useful tool. This is only about $12 on Amazon. One important thing that I want to caution you about, and let me show you what that is. Okay, so we're back here at the welder, and this is a hole that everything must go through. This is a strain relief. This is called an open strain relief. Okay, so they have closed ones that you tighten down on the cable. This is not that type. You go ahead and put the cable in here, and then you take and squeeze it, and then you go ahead and put it in this hole. But before you put the connectors on both ends, you want to make sure it does go through the hole. Okay, otherwise you're going to have to take the blank cable, okay, and stick it through there. Okay, and then you're going to have to take and put the lead on once it's through the hole. Okay, so if you have the connectors on both ends and it won't go through the hole, then you could be stuck. You'd take and waste a part. You'd have to take and go ahead and waste one of these ends, and then that would be a bad thing. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to swage the other end on this, and we're going to take and find new hardware for this. We're going to wire brush this, and then all we got to do is put a bolt in and we'll be ready to go. So put the side back on, and it's a very easy job if you have the right tools. And I really like that little swaging tool. Again, that's available on Amazon, not a sponsor. About $12, $13. Very, very handy. It's pretty well built. So I hope I've given you some good information, and go ahead and try this, and you can rebuild your own stuff. Have fun doing it. So this one we've kind of worked on over the last week, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, to take and get this cleaned up and get it back into service. So we still need to check all the connections on here, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, hope I've given you some good information. I hope you have a beautiful summer day, since Wednesday was the first day of summer. And we'll talk to you next time.